Alors, mes abonnés, bienvenue donc sur cette édition spéciale. Bienvenue donc sur cette édition spéciale. Nous sommes donc obligés donc de vous faire donc parvenir quelque chose sur notre studio. Nous avons donc le premier interview avec Alicecom et le deuxième est donc en anglais. Alors, vous savez donc que pour cette maman de 80 ans, nous la félicitons parce qu'elle menace le régime donc en place. Elle panique même étudier en ce moment. Alors, d'autres écrivent donc qu'on va l'arrêter. On ne peut pas arrêter Alicecom. Parce que vous savez que les personnes âgées ne sont pas arrêtées. Elle est âgée, on ne peut pas l'arrêter. C'est comme les enfants de 8 ans, on ne les arrête pas. Alors, je suis donc dans ce studio, comme je vous disais donc très bien, avec Maman Alicecom, qui fait donc gaffe en ce jour. C'est l'interview.
Welcome, fellow Cameroonians at home and abroad. This is Chairman Capo Daniel of PRAP, the People's Right Advocacy Platform. Today, number 19 day of this month of November, we have come to you with the lady of the day, Madame Lawyer, or Maître as the French will call it, Maître Alicecom, which is our mother. We call him mother because of the role she has played in activism in Cameroon. She has granted.
This is an opportunity for those who ignore the consequences of advanced age, that is, cognitive decline and physical impairment, which lead to incompetence, but focus on political rhetoric to discredit an opposition candidate. This signals the need for change in Cameroon. The change Cameroonians want today is not a change of age group. It is a change of the entire school of thought that has governed this country. This school of thought is built on force, fear, and shortcuts. A school of thought that has relied on intimidation rather than innovation, repression rather than reform, and survival rather than progress. That is what people want to end. They want a leadership that listens, that works, that respects citizens, and that shows up when it matters, irrespective of their ages. You are welcome to the Beyond Africa podcast with me, your host, Ngalim Bernard. At the Beyond Africa podcast, we tell African stories that change lives. Before we continue, thank you so much for trusting the Beyond Africa podcast. It is on this podcast that we share the most important stories, the most important and in-depth analysis of the issues surrounding Africa, and we bring to you what most other podcasts or other media houses do not bring. That is balanced and sharp cutting analysis, commentaries, and interviews. Kindly continue liking, subscribing, watching, and of course in comments. That is the best way to support us and to let us know how we shape these conversations. Today, we're still on Cameroon because there is a conversation about age, leadership, and what true change really means. And like many debates in Cameroon, it did not start in a vacuum. It began because some people looked at the appointment of Barrister Alicecom and immediately reduced everything to her age. Suddenly, the same society and the same people that watched people in their 90s cling to power without delivering results discovered a passion for the youth, a passion to avoid people who are advanced in age. But let's be very honest with you. Age on its own has never been the real issue. It only becomes a problem when it works hand in hand with incompetence. For example, we have lived 43 years under a regime where the country has experienced decay, not because the leader has been old all his life, but because competence left the room a long time ago. For years, Cameroonians have watched a system where decisions stagnate. Institutions are asleep, like the National Judicial Council that has never met for about 10 years today. A country where opportunities die before they even reach the table, simply because leadership is not strong enough, is not capable enough to take leadership. Age did not destroy Cameroon. Incompetence did. Worse still, when age comes with cognitive decline and physical deterioration, incompetence accelerates. And we have seen that openly in Cameroon. We have all watched videos of Paul Biya in Washington, D.C. Videos where he was unaware of his presence, unaware of what was around him, and unaware of the people who were there with him. Senate President Marcel Nyat Njifendi has also shown inability to move by himself, yet they still occupy the highest positions of the land. The people who criticize Alice Nkom today failed to criticize Paul Biya and Marcel Nyat Njifendi. These moments showing you how Marcel Nyat Njifendi and Paul Biya have presented themselves in public are always very painful to watch. Not because these men were elderly, but because they were visibly unable to carry the responsibilities that were placed on their shoulders. Leadership is demanding. It requires energy, awareness, presence, and clarity. When these disappear, the country suffers. That is the real crisis, not the candles on someone's birthday cake. This is an opportunity for those who ignore the consequences of advanced age, that is cognitive decline and physical impairment, which lead to incompetence, but focus on political rhetoric to discredit or to attack. This signals the need for change in Cameroon. The change Cameroonians want today is not a change of age group. It is a change of the entire school of thought that has governed this country. This school of thought is built on force, fear, and shortcuts. A school of thought that has relied on intimidation rather than innovation, repression rather than reform, and survival rather than progress. That is what people want to end. They want a leadership that listens, that works, that respects citizens, and that shows up when it matters, irrespective of their ages. There are people who can do this well advanced in their ages. We discussed this below. A leader's age becomes relevant only when his age signals a lack of capacity, when incompetence has taken over management, and when the citizens suffer because of that incompetence and lack of capacity. Age becomes irrelevant when the person remains sharp, effective, and committed. Global examples abound. Let us look at a few examples. Warren Buffett. Even in his this, he continues to guide his Berkshire Hathaway company. He remains central to its decision-making processes. He writes his annual letter by himself and wrestles with big investment challenges. His long-time patient strategy shows how cumulative experience can become an extraordinary strength. He is still at the center, visibly, actively, and competently at the center of his businesses. He has not given this out at 90 years old. Competence is right there. Ability is right there. What about Chris Chang, who founded the TSMC company and led it as its CEO and chairman for decades? He only stepped down in 2018 at the age of 87. During his tenure, his age and experience were not a liability. They were the backbone of his vision, providing deep expertise, strong networks, and the credibility to execute bold goals. His company did not die because he was 87. He was right there, active, sharp, decisive. This teaches us something simple. Change is not about the age of the leader. Change is about the quality of leadership. For clarity, identity politics is irrelevant to me. I don't pay attention to your age, your sex, your tribe, your language, or your educational level. What matters to me is competence. How will you perform your duties? How are you performing your duties? Are you present? Are you active? Are you relevant? Are you carrying the mission forward? And that is what I expect to see in leaders. Barrister Alice Nkom Questions is not different. She is not being criticized for her work or her courage or her lifelong record of standing up for those without a voice. She's being criticized for her age, yet she does not walk around with age to remind her of where she is, nor does she need people to hold her to work. She does not disappear for months, leaving the country guessing where she was. No, Barrister Alice Kom, as late as yesterday, accompanied Mayor Bion to the SDO's office, was fluent and has been granting interviews without any memory problems. She does not struggle to complete a sentence before the cameras. She is active, present, articulate, and effective. These are qualities that many younger leaders even fail to demonstrate. Her appointment, whether one agrees with it politically or not, exposes a contradiction in our political culture. People say they want new thinking, but when someone with experience, energy, and a fresh approach is appointed, they suddenly turn to her age as the argument. It is not consistent, it is not honest, and it is certainly not about youth. It is about perpetuating a system that is grounded on a school of thought that has led to the decay of the country. Because if it were truly about youth being the priority, let us ask ourselves, what happened when Maurice Kamto appointed Bibu Nisak, a young, capable spokesperson? Where is Bibu Nisak today? He was arrested, silenced, and disappeared into the system's dungeons. Youth did not protect him. Those who advocate for youth today did not shield him. Youth in that context became a target. Yes, because Bibu Nisak's competence, awareness, and sharpness threatened the system. This is why we must be careful with simplistic arguments like, we need younger people. Cameroon needs competent people. People who can move the country forward. People who understand what is at stake. People whose energy is matched by vision, not just emotion and rhetoric. The attack on Barrister Kom's age is not a serious political critique. It is a cheap political shot, one that tries to distract the public from the real issues. If one disagrees with her ideas, that is fair. If someone challenges her political strategy, that is acceptable. But to dismiss her because of her age while praising leaders like Buffett or Chang, who have visibly led effectively to advanced age, that is hypocrisy. The problem again is effective leadership, and age becomes a problem when leadership becomes ineffective. This moment offers Cameroon an opportunity, a moment to redefine how we evaluate leadership, not by age, not by tribe, not by slogans, but by capacity, clarity, awareness, and commitment to serving the people. Let us stop pretending that youth is automatically a qualification. Youth without competence becomes chaos. And let's stop pretending that age automatically disqualifies someone. Age with sharpness, courage, and discipline is an asset, and countries benefit from this. Just as Warren Buffett led Berkshire well into his 90s, and Maurice Chang guided TSMC until he stepped down at 87, age can carry wisdom, tenacity, and long-term focus. That is precisely the kind of leadership Cameroon needs. So as we discuss change, let us focus on what truly matters. The Cameroon we want will not be built by the young alone or by the old alone. It will be built by those who can deliver, those who can lead with integrity, intelligence, and purpose, those who are aware of the circumstances, those who can share in the requirements of the moment. Let us consider the example from Liberia. Johnson Sirleaf left power at 79, and Liberians complained she was old enough. They wanted young energy. They went for George Weah, who was 51 when he took power. George Weah served only one mandate, and Liberians were tired of his leadership. Liberians said he was not right to take the country forward. They elected Joseph Boakai, 79, to lead the country. Age again is not the right measuring rod. Age is simply a factor that is being considered when leadership questions are concerned. The example from Liberia speaks enough. The young Weah did not deliver, and Liberians were forced to look for an older person. What were Liberians looking for in Joseph Boakai? They were looking for someone with competence, someone with an awareness of leadership. Again, the point comes down to age. youth is not always the answer. Age becomes a problem only when age is accompanied by incompetence, guided by cognitive decline, or physical inability to perform. When you put this as an entire package, you see countries regressing. You see countries with capitals that are uninhabitable, countries with institutions that don't function, countries with institutions that do not represent the people. Leaders who tend to be unaware of their presence cannot lead a country, and that is where we are today. Until we make that shift, we will continue chasing illusions while ignoring those who can actually move the country forward. Moving the country forward is based on conviction, capacity, and love for country. Cameroon stands at a crossroads where excuses can no longer substitute for results. The future will not be secured by clinging to age, tribe, party colors, or familiar faces. It will be secured by those who can think clearly, act decisively, and serve with integrity. If we are serious about rebuilding Cameroon, then competence, not identity, not emotion, not nostalgia, must be the standard. When we finally embrace that truth, we will stop recycling the same failures and start choosing leaders who actually move Cameroon forward. Moving Cameroon forward requires a conscious decision based on reality that advances competence, that advances vision, and that advances goals, that looks at results, goes back into history, and looks at where we are coming from, what was done, what resources were available to do what was done, and did those resources actually produce those results? If these questions are answered in the negative, then the question lies elsewhere, and that question lies in the school of thought. What school of thought governed that bad governance? Was that bad governance governed by a school of thought that can move Cameroon forward? And that is the question. And what is on the offer now? The offer is a transition, a commitment to transition from one school of thought to another. And that is the commitment Chiruma made. That is the commitment Barrister Alice Ngom is advancing. Movement from one school of thought to another. A new Cameroon is possible. A new Cameroon is right here. It should not slip through our fingers. For the Beyond Africa podcast, I have been your host, Ngalim Bernard. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, thank you for subscribing. Thank you.
Mes amis, vous avez donc vu, pour ceux qui comprennent donc l'anglais, je vais donc faire tout un résumé. Alors, il faudrait d'abord retenir que il nous parle donc de la LISCOM, de BIA, de Chiruma. Il nous fait donc comprendre qu'ils sont donc des acteurs donc, principaux pour donc, le changement. Et pour la suite donc des commentaires, parce que je suis déjà fatigué, c'est presque cette dernière vidéo que je vais donc vous laisser. Mettez-nous les cœurs, partagez pour la suite donc de cet après-midi. Autant donc on va prendre une petite pause parce que nous sommes presque au petit matin. Je sais que nous sommes au Japon et il fait très froid. Vous savez comment le Japon se passe. Donc n'oubliez donc pas de vous abonner. D'autres m'écrivent qu'à quoi c'est donc cet équipement. En fait, c'est les walkie-talkie, c'est les équipements pour la communication. Vous voyez un peu. Attendez, je vais pas allumer, vous allez voir. Parce que tout ce que j'ai, je vous explique. Ça se règle ici, là. Vous avez suivi, quand j'ai allumé, ça fait 1. Vous réglez les mêmes fréquences. 1, 1. Alors, par exemple, vous appuyez ici. Si je parle, vous voyez comment ça sort. Oui, nous sommes donc presque à la fin de cette édition spéciale depuis notre salon de production, ici donc au Japon. Vous avez vu? Donc c'est ici que... Et quand vous appuyez, donc la lumière verte sort. Et quand c'est termine, vous voyez, vite vers ça. Et quand vous appuyez, vous attendez que la personne finisse de parler. Alors les deux paires coûtent 120 000. Donc laissez-moi en commentaire pour tous ceux qui aimeraient donc avoir les équipements pour que le travail donc ceux qui ont des équipements, ceux qui veulent avoir les équipements pour que pour leurs travaux, comme peut-être ceux qui gèrent donc les équipements de réalisation, c'est là ça est très bien. La distance part à 20 000 km. Très puissant, très efficace. Donc, mettez-moi les commentaires et pour tous ceux qui auront donc besoin de ça, vous m'écrivez. Donc, tout ce que j'ai, je vous fais toujours bénéficier. Parce que je vous montre comment j'aime donc l'Afrique, j'aime donc le Cameroun. J'aimerais donc que les Africains puissent déposer les armes de guerre et qu'ils puissent aimer donc leur travail. La guerre réduit les hommes. Il y a un temps pour Dieu. Il y a un temps pour les hommes plutôt et il y a un temps pour Dieu. Le temps de Dieu est arrivé pour que nous puissions nous mobiliser, qu'il y ait donc la paix. Chaque jour qui passe, il y a les nouveaux dossiers. Rendez-vous tout à l'heure, si vous le voulez donc très bien. J'ai donc utilisé donc, je vais tout vous expliquer, même si vous énervez, j'ai un travail. Je suis technicien de l'audiovisuel. Je travaille depuis 7 ans aujourd'hui, sorti d'une très grande école qui a coûté 2 millions de francs. J'utilise donc cette caméra, comme vous le voyez donc très bien. J'utilise donc cette caméra. J'utilise donc le micro studio. Vous avez vu. J'utilise donc un truc pour le son. Vous avez donc vu ça. J'utilise donc une table de mixette pour donc faire entrer le son. C'est comme un zoom. C'est comme le petit zoom, c'est que je vous ai donc montré. C'est comme un zoom. C'est comme le petit zoom, c'est que je vous ai montré. Un zoom, c'est un micro qui permet donc de faire entrer le son de qualité. Il y a plusieurs types de zoom. Voilà. Donc, quand je dis zoom, ne pensez pas que c'est comme le zoom de l'appareil, comme le zoom de l'appareil photo aussi. Non, non. Alors, je pense donc que je vais donc vous laisser et je reviens donc pour cette prochaine édition. Alors, si vous me suivez donc très bien, bao, coupez-moi la caméra. Les gars là n'ont pas coupé.